G'day, welcome back to RC Model Reviews. Yes, we're back in business. The lockdowns are lifting around here, so I can come out to the studio and finally make some more review videos. And look what we've got here. It is another Holybro product. You've guessed that because you read the title to this video, so I'm not surprising you, am I? What I'm going to do though is get rid of the nice little Holybro pack, and there we go. There is the quad itself. This is the Holybro Kopis Mini, and right from the get-go, I have to say I've been flying this thing for over a week now and I love it. It has become my new favorite quad. My MXP 200, I'm afraid it didn't really survive the encounter with the mud in the lake, so this has become my new favorite quad. Having said that, even if the MXP 200 was flying, this is better. This is better. It is just fantastic. Now, I'm going to start off with some flight footage. If you watch my XJet channel, you'll have seen some of this footage because this is when I went to the park the other day. It's about the fourth pack I'd flown on this quad, and lovely day, like it was like summer and late autumn, and I just flew around through the trees. Now, remember, only about the fourth pack on this quad, and I hadn't flown this spot for quite some time, so I was amazed at how confident this little quad made me feel. It was letting me go through the gaps. I could fly. Altitude control was really good. That's one of the hardest things sometimes with a new quad. It's just maintaining a good altitude and getting low enough and high enough in the right places. And this thing was just a breeze to fly. I just had such a ball. I burnt through 8 battery packs in one sitting. It was fantastic. All my battery packs, I charged them and I used them all, and I didn't have one crash, even though I was getting faster and faster. Fantastic fun. So yeah, and look at the quality of the video in this. This is the DJI digital system. This was recorded from the air unit, so it's true HD video, 60 frames per second. It's not GoPro footage. We know that if you've got a DJI digital system, it's not as good as a GoPro. You get this, they've over sharpened it, so there's little black outlines along the white lines. You know, if you look closely at the image, it's okay. It's certainly a lot better than analog, but it's not a GoPro. But anyway, that aside, you get virtually the same image in your goggles, so that's where the whole experience comes from. And I had a ball flying this quad. So let's have a look on the bench and see what makes this quad so damn good. Well, for a start, it's got some really good quality components, as is always the case with Holybro. They don't use cheap Chinese tap. They use really good quality stuff. It's got 1507 T motors. These are T motor. They're not just one hung low brand. They're T motor, 3800 kV, and they've got some power. I've got to tell you, the analog version, this comes in 2 versions. The analog version will suck 70 amps. These motors will, so each motor is sucking nearly 20 amps. And they don't even get warm. They're brilliant motors. I'm so impressed with these little motors. They've got so much poke. These props seem well suited too, well balanced. I have no jello in the footage, which is really excellent. So you can use this for cinema type footage if you want to, if you're happy with the limitations of the HD digital recording that the DJI produces on the air unit. So if you want to just do some nice scenic shots, you can use it for that. But if you're ripping, you still get that high quality footage. It's got the DJI air unit in it. There we go, stock standard air unit. It's got the CaddX flight controller, Holybro's own flight controller in there, which is a very capable unit and provides excellent feeling and control with this thing. It's got a 4-in-1 ESC hiding under the the air unit there. I'll show you. I did some B-roll footage. Here's some footage with the top off. You can see the various components in there. There's not a lot of spare room, but they're all quality components, all nicely put together, and that adds to the whole quality feeling. Now at the back here we've got an XT30, so any pack with an XT30 will do the trick. Got a low ESR capacitor in here to get rid of the spikes, because 70 amps, this is going to make for a lot of noise on the power supply, on the battery rail, which is really important. Antenna management is an interesting way to look at it. When it came, these antennas were pushed right in here, and you might think, oh, we'll just leave them there. No, I redid the cable tie and bent them out, because with the antennas right up hard against the side there, you're not going to get very good performance for your video or your radio control link, because these antennas are very much affected by conductors, which is wire or carbon fiber, within close proximity. So you want to keep these things well away from the frame and well away from the wiring. So bend them out like that, make sure they stay out like that. You probably have to reposition that cable tie. They do give you spare cable ties, so you can cut the old one, put a new one in, bend it out. Yay, there you go. Even so, I don't get fantastic range from this thing. I think it's just the fact that we've got these antennas between the arms, and at times they're being blocked by the air unit and things. It's not a long range quad, but hey, it's a 3-inch. You're not going to fly long range anyway. And it was perfectly adequate for all the flying I did, although I did have one fail-safe event. Here's the footage here. I was flying along pretty close, but a fail-safe, and of course just fell from a great height. No damage. proves how tough the frame is. Fell from that height into the hard, well, not hard, but not soft ground, and there was no damage. Brilliant. I like it. The frame is quite robust. It's good quality carbon, and it's well designed. It's a unibody frame. There are no arms to replace, because it just adds weight doing that on a small quad like this. Now, of course, nothing is perfect, and I found a few little things which I wasn't happy about. First of all, when I got this, see the battery strap here? It was actually underneath that cable that comes out of the unit. So if I had put the battery strap on and yanked on it, it would have put a lot of stress on the cable as it comes out of the air unit by pulling it up against the top frame member. I did notice that before I put the battery in, so I repositioned the battery strap so it was between that cable and the frame, so that's not going to put any stress on there. It's most important you do the same thing, otherwise you could end up wrecking the air unit by ripping the wires. Just something, maybe mine was just assembled incorrectly, maybe Holybro aren't paying attention on that one, and that they are not making sure that they put the strap in the right place. You should make sure you do it, because it comes with the battery strap already installed. Now the other thing, which is, there's no easy way around this other thing. Now I'm running these 650 milliamp 4-cell China Hobbyline batteries, and I'm surprised at how well they're holding up under the stress, because as I say, this can draw 70 amps. And I get about 4 minutes flying time with my semi-leisurely cruising thing, where I'm not punching a lot. I'm just cruising around at speed between trees and branches and things like that. So it gives me about 4 minutes, which is more than enough time. Ideally, I think 850 milliamps 4-cell would be the way to go with this, with a high C battery, because if this pulls 70 amps, these are 650 milliamp and they're 70C, which works out at something like about, what's that, 650 times 7, so about less than 50 amps, I think, is the maximum you're supposed to draw out of these batteries. Pulling 70 amps out of them, they do sag. But if you go to an 850 milliamp and you go to a 100C battery, you should be well over the spec, should be fine. But the thing I noticed is this comes with the rubber pad that you put on the top frame there to stop the battery moving around. I haven't put that on because I wasn't sure what batteries I would be using. And I noticed also a problem. If you want the battery strap in the middle of the battery, let me just go up a bit so we can see what I'm talking about. You want the battery strap in the middle of the battery to give maximum retention in case you have a crash or whatever, and it won't flop around in the breeze. If you do that, the battery has to be quite a way forward, because due to the positioning of the air unit, you can't slide the battery strap back any further than that because it hits the air unit. So that's where your battery, that's as far back as your battery can go, which is unfortunate, because if you hold it in the midpoint, it makes it a little bit nose heavy. It's a little bit nose heavy because the battery is actually forward of the center point, so it's got a nose heavy CG. In theory, that should affect the handling, but I found nothing to indicate that the handling was adversely affected by it. So just something to be aware of, though. If you're going to have a very long battery, it may be worse because you'll have it poked out even further out the end here. And so it's a shame, but there's nothing you can do about it because the air unit is just that big, and this is a very, very small quadcopter. So it hasn't caused me any problems. I will be putting the little rubber pad on there underneath this battery in that position, and I'll be happy. But yeah, you need to make sure you work out what battery you're using, where it's going to sit before you put the rubber pad on. Apart from that, there's nothing to grizzle about. This thing is just wonderful. It is a wonderful little piece of kit. But I know there's a question on everybody's mind. Is it sub 250? Well, it's 3-inch, so it's easy enough to get sub 250 with a 3-inch quad some of the time. But let's see. Let's just put the quad on. The quad alone weighs 200 grams. 200 grams on the nose exactly. So whether it's sub 250 depends on the battery you use. Now, these China Hobbyline 650 4-cells, which are definitely the smallest I'd use on this thing, they weigh in at about 80-something grams, 86 grams, 85, 86 grams. So it makes it 36 grams overweight for sub 250, which, to be honest, I don't think it's really a problem. Who's going to be carrying scales around? If you're out in the field and someone comes up and says, well, is this registered? And you say, no, it's under 250 grams. They're going to pull a set of scales out of their pocket? I don't think so. And if they do, quickly whip the battery off and they'll weigh it, and away you go. And keep another battery in your pocket, maybe a 350 milliamp 4-cell, and if they say, well, what about the battery? You give them the 350, put it on there and go, oh yeah, 250 grams. So yeah, that's what I'd do. I mean, I'm not going to sweat it. I'm not going to sweat over 36 grams between sub 250 and the actual weight in this configuration. Now, if you're running a 1.3 pack, 1300 pack, which it will carry, I've flown it with a 1300 4-cell, and it flies really well. The extra weight is almost unnoticeable. And you do get extra flight time. But I'm just thinking from the point of view, if you're going to be hitting stuff, that extra weight puts extra stress on the thing. And I'd rather fly with a light battery so that when I whack into a fence post or a tree or whatever it may be, the frame and motors and the props are far less likely to break because there's less mass. And we all know the more mass, the more energy is involved in any collision. So I like to fly it light. And besides which, I can buy a lot more of these packs for a certain amount of money than I can 1300 packs. So I can buy myself 8 of these for the price of maybe 4 1300 packs. And a 1300 pack does not give you twice the flight time. This will give you, as I say, 4 minutes if you're doing fast cruising, and a 1300 pack will not give you 8 minutes because it's heavier. But there you go. So that's it. That answers the question. Now, there is an analog version which I'll be reviewing shortly. The analog version is lighter because it doesn't have the air unit in there. So that's something worth considering. One other thing while I remember, actually, as I mentioned, you could use this as a cine quad. It is a really stable little platform and it would really be good for getting cinematic shots. The irony is that if you want to use this as a cine quad, you'll probably have to go for the analog version, not the digital version. Why would that be? Well, as I said, the DJI digital system, the camera in there, it's not as good as a GoPro. It gives really nice footage, but it's certainly not top spec HD quality. GoPro puts it to shame. A Runcam 5 will put it to shame. Even a Mobius will put it to shame. It is what it is. It is an HD camera, but it's over sharpened. The image just isn't as good as a dedicated HD recording camera. So if you want to put a dedicated HD recording camera on here, like a GoPro, there's no room. If you're going to put your battery in the right place to get the strap holding it on, let me just slide this all back. There's no room to put a GoPro on here. It just wouldn't fit. You'd have to move the battery way further back, like here. Then you could put a GoPro on, but then there's nothing holding the battery on, and you can't put a strap between there. There's not enough room for a strap under the air unit, and you don't really want to put stress on it. So there's a whole lot of issues there. So I would say if you want to use this as a cine quad, you might want to look at the analog. I'm going to look at that when I review the analog. So with the analog, you're not going to have this air unit in the way. You should be able to get your battery a lot further back, put your GoPro mount up here. And because you're saving weight, because the analog won't have this heavy air unit, or heavier air unit, then that will help offset the extra weight of the GoPro itself. So we'll look at that when I review the analog system. As I've said many times before, digital is great. I love it. But analog is great, I love it too. And even though I have the DJI digital system, I still spend more than half my time flying analog because there are pros and cons to each. The pros and cons I will be examining when I review the analog version of this. And I'm going to put them side by side. I'm going to do the big pros and cons so that if you're thinking, should I go digital or should I go analog or perhaps stay analog? What do I do? Well, hopefully I'll give you the information you need to make your mind up sensibly and to come up with the right answer, because digital is expensive, but it has benefits. Analog is cheap. And surprisingly, it also has benefits. So we'll look at the pros and cons, and you'll be able to go and make your own mind up. And remember, there's also the Bifrost, what do they call it? Whatever it's going to be called in the future, the alternative digital system. Is that going to be a better option? Well, lots of things have changed there. I'll be doing a video on that sometime in the next few weeks. I don't have one. I don't expect them to send me one, but I'm going to look at that and just see if we can work out whether it might be a better option than DJI, and if so, why. So yeah, lots of things coming up on this. But in the meantime, I have to say this is definitely a thumbs up. If you already have the DJI digital system, then it is such a fun quad to fly. And really, when you think about it, ultimately, it's about fun. It is not a cheap quad. It's not, because the DJI digital system, for a start, the air units are expensive, but you get value. And ultimately, it's about value and fun. Are you getting what you pay for? Are you getting what you expect? And does it work? Yes. In this case, absolutely. This is my go-to quad. This is the quad I'll be flying as probably the new rescue quad for the airfield here. And all my fun times, I think, I'll be flying here. One thing I say to Holybro is, why did you only give me one set of props? Why is there only one set of props? In that box, you get the wiring loom for the air unit, because they use their own one. You get some cable tie. In fact, let me just get that out so you can see what you get. I mean, like typical Holybro, they do give you, bits and pieces. We don't unbox things here, that's why I didn't get it out. Oh man, stuck in the bag. Here we go. Just have a quick look before I forget. This is what's in its bags. This has got it actually gives you some extra circlips. If you see them in there, circlips, and a little brass spacer there for the motors. Now that is actually really good, because sometimes you do need to take motors apart and you will always lose the circlip, but here you are, they give you spare ones. Fantastic. That's really thinking ahead. They give you that wiring harness, as I say. They give you 2 cable ties so you can reposition those antennas, as I recommend, and they give you that rubber pad for making sure the battery doesn't wander around. That's all you get. Oh, and the instructions for the air unit, because if you get the digital one, they give you the FPV instruction book there for the digital air unit. But that's all you get. I would have really liked to have seen a set of spare props. Seriously, this is not a cheap quad. It is a good value quad, but it's not a cheap quad. So what's the harm in throwing in, another 1 or 2 sets of props? What, $3, $4? Seriously? You can't afford that? That would make it from an excellent product into the perfect product, as far as I'm concerned. But nevertheless, it's all high quality kit. It works exactly as advertised. It flies so damn well. No one will get this, pry this out of my hands until I'm dead and buried. Honestly, seriously, this is just a nice piece of kit. Is the analog one going to be better? Well, just wait and see. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, you might miss it. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you think this review was useful to you. Hopefully it was. If you've got questions that I didn't cover, go to the commenty bit and put the questions in there. I'll put a link to the more information on this. I'm not going to go through in great detail. I'll put a link to more information so you can find that probably from the Holybro site. And there's no affiliate links. I don't make a bean if you buy this. I don't care whether you buy it or not. But I don't think you'd be disappointed, to be totally honest. This is another sterling piece of kit from Holybro. Yes, they've done it again. Woohoo! It is fan-bloody-tastic. Thanks for watching, and thanks to my Patreon supporters. Bye for now.